Hey Kickstarter supporters, it's Audrey Auden coming to you with our first Kickstarter update. We're looking forward to giving you sneak peeks of the concept art in our next update, so stay tuned. In the meantime, I thought I would share with you a little bit about the technology that inspired the near future world of Silicon Valley that's described in Realms Unreel. We're at the beginning of the pervasive computing and mobile computing revolution, but in the Silicon Valley of 2030, these pervasive computing devices are just a fact of life. Some of the technological language that's used in the book describes things like reality augmentation, which is when you take your sensation of the physical world, whether it's your visual input or your auditory input or your tactile input, and you overlay on top of it something that's simulated. So you might see sort of your world out there, but then an arrow that's pointing you in the right direction. We can all sort of imagine how that works because we see map turn-by-turn directions and things like that in the mobile devices that a lot of us already carry with us all the time. But when you take it that next step beyond having to hold a little physical device in your hand and instead just incorporate it seamlessly into your visual field, you've sort of taken computing to that next level. And so we no longer have to be locked to these workstations or locked to these devices. We can sort of choose how we interact with the world and choose what information we overlay on the world. Let's see, some of the devices that are described and are important to the storyline and the action. Retinal displays, so that wherever you're looking you can be watching the same thing, or when you're looking at one particular object and information about that object comes onto your visual overlay. Auditory simulation isn't that hard to imagine. Most of us have put earbuds into our ears at some point in time and heard voices or heard games or heard just auditory feedback of some kind. Tactile feedback is a little bit interesting. The capability to create a sensation on the skin that simulates a touch or a temperature is in more prototypical form now, but would probably require a lot of additional research and development to take it to that next level that's described in the book. The spliner is an important piece of technology. It provides the foundation for environment simulation. It's described in the book as a gray room with sort of a malleable material that composes all of the surfaces, the floor and the walls and the ceiling. And given some kind of code input, a flat floor could morph upwards into a hilly environment, or you could see a pillar representing a tree, or even an in-motion surface. You could create the waves of the ocean. When you combine that environmental simulation with visual augmentation and auditory augmentation, suddenly you have the capacity to create an entirely immersive environment. There's nothing to prevent those technologies from existing. The prototypes for most of the technologies described in the book already exist in labs in some places or are being used by the military. It's just a question of how they sort of get integrated into the broader culture and the mainstream consumer electronics market. I spent a lot of time in the book developing this theme of the blurring of boundaries between different realities, and I think that's something that everyone's familiar with when you go through your day-to-day life. You've got your waking reality and your dream reality where two entirely different sets of rules apply, and then you have your work reality and your home family reality. And now when you overlay all of these virtual communities that people are a part of, you know, there's real human dynamics that happen in all of those places. And so when you're walking down the street looking at your mobile phone and leaving a comment on Facebook or browsing the comments on Reddit, you are creating an intersection between all of these different realities. Which reality are you really occupying? It's one that's at the intersection of all of those different forms of social media and physical reality and virtual reality. I think part of the relationship between the writer and the reader is that of co-inspiring forces or conspiring forces. The writer creates a foundation or a language that the reader then interprets in his or her own way to create an imagined world. So I hope that as you read Realms Unreal, you get to do some of that fun work as the reader. The words and the illustrations can help guide you to a certain extent, but you as the reader have to bring your own imagination to the story to fill in the gaps and to create it in a level of reality that doesn't otherwise exist. Also, check out the Kickstarter project page for new rewards that are going to be coming in the last 10 days of the campaign. If you have other friends and family in your life who might enjoy reading Realms Unreal in any form, whether it's the illustrated or non-illustrated versions, please, please, please send them to the Kickstarter page before the end of the campaign. This might be your only opportunity to order a hardcover version of the book unless it really takes off. So, and we hope it does, but if it doesn't, this is your once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get an illustrated version of the book. Thanks for watching, and we're looking forward to giving you our next update.